Dan Illman, Mike Beer, feature race at Belmont on Saturday, the Grade 3 Pennine Ridge. We are going 9 furlongs on the inner turf. This race for 3-year-olds prepping for the Belmont Derby. Get involved in this race with a DRF Bets account. Deposit $100, bet with $250. Learn all the details at bets.drf.com. Let's meet this field of 3-year-olds getting set to go 9 furlongs. Real short run into the first turn, going 1 1/8 on the inner turf. We're expecting the number 2 Swamp Rat to pass this race and run at Monmouth on Saturday. Morning line favorite, big surprise. It's from the Chad Brown barn, the number 1 value proposition. The way this horse ran first time out, I can understand why he's the favorite. 90 Beyer speed figure, and it looks like he's still a little bit green, but I love the acceleration he showed on the turn. He's got to turn a foot, this horse.
He looked real good in that race. They just took him back off the pace earlier, but you could just see him just pulling his way into that race around the second turn. He did it very easily, just sort of rolling right up on the leaders, and then he turned away a horse in the stretch. I know the horse that he turned away, Downside Risk. Not only has he had trouble winning races, he came back with a pretty poor performance in his next start, but I don't think that really matters when you're looking at the race that this horse ran, because he turned that horse away readily. And as you say, he was still a little bit green in the stretch, but he was really running through the wire. The fact that they bet him to 3-5 probably says a lot for his debut. This isn't not an easy race for him, Dan, but I'll be very interested to see how he turns out, because he looked real good first time.
Todd Pletcher's patience has been rewarded with the number 5 Clint Maroon. He's certainly taken his time. Maiden win at Gulfstream, non-winners of one other than win at Gulfstream, little stakes race in the Woodhaven at Aqueduct last time. Imagine going through your conditions in the 21st century, but Todd's been rewarded. This horse has moved forward with each and every start, including that gate-to-wire score in the Woodhaven. My one issue is this in the Woodhaven. That was the time, I think. He was catching 2 good horses coming off long layoffs in a paceless race, and he controlled it. Now he's got to go farther against sharper horses.
Yeah, and it feels like, listen, there's not a ton of pace in this race, and maybe he'll just get loose again. If I read, he could sit, but you would think that if he was going to beat this field, at least I would anyway, I would actually put him on the front and see if he can wire a field again. It's never a bad idea when you're going 9 furlongs on the inner turf at Belmont to get forward and to save some ground. It's at a premium in races like this, and he should be able to do it. Personally, I don't want to bet him back, especially if he's going to be one of the shorter prices in this race. He had everything go his way last time. I feel like he took advantage a little bit. Doesn't mean he's not a good horse, but he's going to have to do better than that against this field, I think.
Let's handicap the Timeform US Pace Projector, because I disagree a little bit. They've got the 4 Social Paranoia out there on the lead. That horse, like Clint Maroon, trained by Todd Pletcher. I think that Todd is very happy with Social Paranoia having a target or 2.
I agree.
So I think that Jose is going to take Social Paranoia back. He's going to look at his brother and say, go ahead, son. Clint Maroon right to the front. But let's talk about Social Paranoia, who exploded to win his seasonal debut with a nice trip against a weak field of maidens. But he did it well, and in that American turf, sat a good trip in the inside, tried to shoot up the rail, not embarrassed at all. This is a horse in very good form. Are you worried about the 1 1/8? He's a son of street boss.
Yeah, a little bit worried about how far he wants to go. That really doesn't have any bearing on what he's done since they switched him to turf. You could tell he was okay on dirt at the beginning of his career. You just sort of had that feeling he was going to be better when they made the switch. He is better since they made the switch. I like that he's come back and run some improved races as a 3-year-old, but I still struggle to evaluate the maiden win, because I know it came back fast. I know he won as easy as you want to see a horse win. There was no running going on behind him in that race. So I just found it tough to evaluate. I was happy to take a shot against him last time as the favorite. Not that he didn't run well. He took a shot at it, but he was turned away in that race. And I don't think this race gets any easier for him.
So if I had to rework this pace projector, I'd have the 5 in front, but I would have the 6 second. That's Magnificent McCool going second off the layoff for Steve Asmus. And this horse ran on turf last time out. He caught a yielding turf course at Keeneland. He didn't have to like that at all. His prior race on turf, his maiden win, I was really impressed by that performance. It was going 1 1/8. Yes, I know he wore blinkers that day, but I know the distance is no problem. I think there's something here.
Me too.
I just wonder if this is the right spot.
I kind of feel the same way about him. I actually really liked his maiden win. When they went, it was this distance on the turf. He just has a real nice way of going about him, and he won that race easily. I felt like when I watched his last race, and we'll see what happens down the line, he just didn't seem like a horse who really liked the soft going. He stayed even throughout that race, and he never accelerated like he did over firm turf. So I'm willing to give him a pass for that one.
Before we get to our top picks, let's talk about a very dangerous closer. And that's the number 7, Seismic Wave, who's got that beautiful Juddmonte pedigree, and he looked good winning the Cutler Bay 2 starts back. In the American turf, he must have swung to about the 7 path, turning into the stretch, and he was out of the picture in the 16th pole, and then here he came. Yeah. He ran that last 16th of a mile. You know distance isn't going to be a problem considering this pedigree. Heck, he already has a win at 1 1/8 miles. Can he stay closer if need be? I think he's a 1-run closer.
Yeah, I think he is too, and I'm worried about that on this turf course especially. He's going to need a trip. But, you know, I like, more than anything else about him, I like the distance for him because I do think he's going to relish it. But there's plenty of other things to like about him, too. I mean, this horse has run well in every one of his starts so far. He keeps getting better from race to race. And last time, yeah, they got away from him a little bit at the top of the stretch in there because he was basically on even terms with Digital Age at the top of the stretch. And then horse got away from him a little bit, but he was running at the end. I think he's going to like this 1 1/8 miles.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Pennine Ridge. You're going with the other Chad, the number 3, De Marchelier. Perfect 2 for 2 in his career. When you look at this pedigree, he should be able to run all day long. I'm not worried about the extra 16th of a mile. I like the way he resolutely rallied last time out. He just had no quit in him. He always thought, had that horse, I thought. And that runner-up came right back to him with an 82 buyer. I think this colt has some upside potential. Can he be closer to the pace?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't seem like a horse who has that much speed. So I don't think you're going to see him in the first flight or maybe even the second flight of horses. We'll see if that works against him. I like everything else about him, though. I know that if you just look at him on paper, he doesn't look like that much, maybe. And neither of his wins are necessarily visually impressive. But when you watch his debut at the end of last year, I mean, he almost looked to me like he had no idea what he was doing out there. He was very green. He really only ran about the last 1/8 of a mile once Castellano got him out into the clear. I love the way that he kicked in and won that race, and I personally think he took a huge step forward in his 3-year-old debut. He was wide in that race. He came running in there, though. I think he's going to like this distance, and I just felt like he might be the best of the main. If you want to say 4 main contenders in here, I thought he might be the best price.
I agree. I think he'll be along with Seismic Wave around that 6-to-1 price, even with the scratch in this race. I like 3 horses in the multis. Value Proposition kind of blew me away with his debut. Social Paranoia is very, very sharp. But the best price of the 3 is the 8 Henley's Joy. He's kind of the gatekeeper of this division, isn't he? I mean, he has all the accomplishments. He is a multiple stakes winner. The concern is obvious. He's come back now. He's run a couple of times at 3. He hasn't been measurably faster than he was as a 2-year-old. The American Turf was a race in which he came wide into the stretch. Well, big deal. So did Seismic Wave, and he didn't kick with that horse.
Digital Age,
My feeling is there was a lot of give in the ground that day. It wasn't truly a firm turf course. And if you look at his bad races, they're either on dirt or on turf with a lot of give in it. So I'm willing to give Henley's Joy one more chance. Does he have to improve? Yes. But I think 10-to-1, considering this horse's accomplishments and connections, is a good price.
I'm not arguing with this horse at 10-to-1. I'm a big fan of his. I'm a little worried about 9 furlongs. I'm not sure how far I really think he wants to go.
And is he getting better?
Yeah, and is he getting better? I mean, it's at least worth pointing out, though, that he lost his first 2 turf starts as a 3-year-old with a different trip. I think he could have won both of those. I mean, I don't think either of those races, I don't think he got great rides in either of them, and I think he might have been best both times. And as you say, last time, there was give in that turf course. I liked him a lot last time. I thought he would run a lot better in that race, and I was a little disappointed in him, but there was give in the ground, and I don't think he likes that.
Mike's going 3-7-1-8. He likes De Marchelier on top of Seismic Wave. I'm going 8-4-1-5, using my top 3 in multiple race wagers. The Grade 3 Pennine Ridge is the feature race at Belmont on Saturday. Play it with a DRF Bets account. You deposit $100, you bet with $250. DRF Bets. Ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Pennine Ridge, 5:18 Eastern. Good luck.